Good morning, everyone. It is snowing here. Ridiculous. Alright. Hey, Amazon. Notification.
One new notification from Amazon. U.S. National Weather Service has issued a winter weather advisory for Seattle. It'll be in effect until February 22nd, 11 a.m. PST.
Okay. Amazon. Flash briefing.
Jamie, here's your flash briefing. In NPR News.
Live from NPR News in Washington, I'm Corva Coleman. President Biden is wrapping up his last day in Poland. He's met with NATO officials and joined leaders of several Eastern European nations. They're talking about further support for Ukraine as it fights off Russia's invasion. Biden noted that the Eastern European countries were once under the domination of the former Soviet Union.
As NATO's eastern flank,
You also need to remember Hitler.
And you
Idiot.
know better than anyone.
Because that's what you're supporting in
what's at
Ukraine.
stake in
The
this
Nazis.
conflict. Not just for Ukraine, but for the freedom of democracies throughout Europe and around the world.
Biden also
Not the
responded to
citizens' fault
Russian
neither.
President Vladimir Putin's announcement
The
that
freaking
Moscow
Nazi
is
regime is in
suspending its
charge, and you're
participation in
backing
nuclear
them,
arms talks with the
idiots.
U.S. Biden said
Shut
it's a
NATO
mistake.
down too.
A huge winter storm
ridiculous.
is sweeping across the country. Blizzard warnings are up in parts of Wyoming and northern Wisconsin. Some areas of Minnesota could get up to 2 feet of snow. Some schools there are closed. They're also closing some schools today in North and South Dakota. The EPA is ordering the Norfolk Southern Railroad to pay for the cleanup from its train derailment in East Palestine, Ohio earlier this month. The accident sparked a massive fire and released toxic chemicals. NPR's David Shaper has more.
Under
EPA Administrator Michael
freaking
Regan says he's using his authority under the federal
Clean
Superfund
Water
law
Act,
to
they were allowed
order
to dump
Norfolk
chemicals,
Southern
so
to remediate all contaminated
cleanup,
air,
that's a
soil,
joke.
and water.
Let me also be crystal clear. Norfolk Southern will pay for cleaning up the mess that they created and the trauma that they inflicted on this community.
The Attorneys General of
This is
Ohio
the
and
government's
Pennsylvania are
fault,
exploring
man.
possible criminal charges. Here's East Palestine Mayor Trent Conaway.
They did what the government wanted. This is all the government's fault. They're just trying to lay blame on somebody to foot the
and
bill.
hopefully we come out better than we were on that day.
Norfolk Southern CEO is promising to do just that. David Shaper, NPR News.
Stocks open higher this morning, regaining a little of the ground lost in yesterday's
The
big
government wanted them to
sell-off.
keep
NPR's
running that
Scott Horsley
stuff.
reports the Dow Jones Industrial Average rose about 30 points in early trading.
The modest uptick comes after the worst day of the new year for stocks. Both the Dow and the S&P 500 index fell by 2% on Tuesday. Global markets were also down overnight. This afternoon, investors will be parsing minutes from the Federal Reserve's most recent rate-setting meeting. The central bank has been warning interest rates will likely have to go higher and stay up longer in order to curb stubbornly high inflation. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen meets in
AKA
India this week with her
because of the
counterparts
freaking
from the other
feds.
G20 countries.
Federal
They'll be
government.
discussing challenges to the global economy,
No, we
including
can interpret
inflation,
that. The banks have to
fueled
increase
in
theirs
part
because
by
of the feds.
Russia's year-long invasion of Ukraine. Scott Horsley, NPR
And
News.
guess what? The feds
Washington.
On
continue to
Wall Street,
increase
the Dow
theirs,
is
and they
now
don't
up
stop.
37 points at 33,167. You're listening to NPR.
They slow it down so they can say
has weakened
things like,
as it storms across
"Oh,
the
it's
Indian
less
Ocean
inflation
island
than
of
last month."
Madagascar. Ish
Although
Mafunikwa
it's still going
reports
up,
the
it's just not
Malagasy
at a
government
faster
says
rate
at least
type
4
thing.
people have been killed.
The strong winds and heavy rain have damaged
And they hit it
homes and
strong the next-
infrastructure and knocked out
Near the end
power.
of the month,
Meteorologists say
faster
flooding
rates,
will gather strength
so that when
as
the
it
start of
heads
the next
west
month they can
across the
say,
Mozambique
"Oh, it's a
Channel
lot slower than
towards
it was
the
last
African
month."
mainland.
And that's the
Mozambique,
ploy. That's
which has
the
experienced
freaking
flooding
disguise.
recently, is bracing itself
That's the game.
for landfall by the end of the week. Zimbabwe, Malawi, and other countries further inland are expected to experience heavy rains at the tail end of the cyclone. For NPR News, I am Ishma Fundikwa in Harare.
The family of assassinated black activist Malcolm X says it will sue the New York Police Department and federal agencies, including the FBI and the CIA. The family
Sue the
alleges the
government too,
agencies conspired to conceal evidence in a way that brought about his wrongful death in 1965. 3 men were convicted for killing Malcolm X, but 2 were exonerated after a renewed investigation found authorities withheld information. Mississippi Republican Governor Tate Reeves confirms he will sign a bill that bans gender-affirming care for anyone younger than 18. Among his other complaints, Reeves called the medical treatment, quote, sick. The American Medical Association says it has reinforced its opposition to such government intrusion. Activists say trans kids need doctors who will help them, not lawmakers with political motives. I'm Corva Coleman, NPR News.
On the Code Switch podcast, conversations about race and identity
Amazon.
don't be...
Skip.
In NASA news, NASA will provide live coverage of key events as an uncrewed Roscosmos-Soyuz spacecraft launches and docks to the International Space Station. NASA will provide coverage of the upcoming pre-launch and launch activities for the agency's SpaceX Crew 6 mission with astronauts to the International Space Station. NASA and Boeing will host a mission overview media teleconference at 11 a.m. EST Friday, February 17th to provide a status update on the first astronaut flight test of the company's CST-100 Starliner to the International Space Station. Launch is targeted for no earlier than April to the Microgravity Laboratory. In weather. In Seattle, there's a winter weather advisory in effect until Wednesday, February 22nd, 11 a.m. The current weather is 32 degrees Fahrenheit with cloudy skies. Today, you can look for snow flurries, with a high of 40 degrees and a low of 26 degrees. From NASA,
Sorry, won't be looking for
NASA will provide live coverage of key events as an uncrewed Roscosmos-Soyuz spacecraft launches and
Alright,
docks to the
Amazon.
International Space Station.
Amazon. Off. Amazon. Tell us a joke.
Why did the turkey cross the road? Because it was playing chicken.
Ah ha ha. Okay. Turkey crossed the road because it was playing chicken. Well, all right. On that note, have a wonderful day, people. Stay warm if it's cold. Stay cool if it's hot.